Hello everyone and welcome to Lunch and Learn Season 3, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us here during your lunchtime, or it might not be lunchtime, wherever you might be in the world. But I can't believe we're in our third season of this webinar series. We started back in April 2020 of this year, where myself, Ben and Lewis wanted to share with you our real life experiences within Power BI. And, the uptake from you guys really surprised us, but really give us that impetus to go on and make things even bigger and better. And we did that for season 2. We went on a world tour. I mean, how crazy was that? We traveled over to India, we came back to Spain, we went over to Australia and with the King of Maps, Mr. Warren Dean, who gave us a great presentation. We then had 2 tier 4 Power BI super users from the Power BI community right here on this show, and the only man on the planet with over 5,000 kudos in the Power BI community as well. And that was something special. And then we ended up in Florida again to finish off with some web scraping. And it was a really exciting time for all of us. I mean, I really enjoyed the sessions that we had, and the sessions really we adapted the sessions last season to our guests. Some of them were getting up at 4:30 a.m. to present with us, so we changed our format initially from 2 sessions to the 1 session to give our guests some of that additional time, to go through the presentation and share their experiences with us. But season 3, we're reverting back to our original format, where we're going to have 2 quick-fire sessions, starting today with real-time stream analytics coming up in a few minutes' time, and then in the second part of the episode, we'll be covering the latest and greatest features of Power BI that have been released over the sort of past couple of months. Okay, so before we start, just a quick update, and quite an important update for us as well. So we've attracted attention from a lot of attendees, you guys from around the world. There's people that have joined us from Australia, Canada, America, India, and we've also attracted the attention of a number of companies as well. And one in particular, in the UK, a Microsoft Gold partner, a major player in the industry, and they are our headline sponsors for season 3. And I'd like to say thank you and welcome to Cloud 2. Just in a moment, we'll introduce to you the managing director of Cloud 2, and then get straight on to our quickfire sessions. So I'm going to move straight over to Mr. Taran Sahal. Taran, are you there?
I am. Even called a Mr. there. That's great.
Hello. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Thanks. Hi, everyone.
Good. Thanks for joining us here. So tell us a little bit about Cloud 2. Who are you, and what is it that you do?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Sure. So firstly, obviously, we're delighted to be, to get the opportunity to sponsor this season. Obviously, having gone around the world, now it's lockdown, so we're back to Yorkshire, and that's kind of where we're based. We've been working with you for the past couple of years or so, so we know you guys really well, and you guys have a great reputation. So we're really excited to be part of this. In terms of what we do as Cloud 2, we're kind of seen by Microsoft UK as their leading Power BI partner in healthcare. So we do a lot of Power BI, but we also do a lot of kind of advanced analytics with real time and machine learning, and we'll see a little bit of that today.
Yeah, no, we're really looking forward to that. And it's really exciting to have a company that's really in the forefront of technology, which I know you guys are, and especially with the real-time analytics that's going to be demonstrated shortly as well. But what other things do you sort of work with? What other sort of technologies do you work with in terms of Microsoft technologies?
So we work right across the stack, but the kind of key focus areas outside of analytics would be the Power Platform. So we do a lot of kind of groundbreaking projects using that. Yeah.
Good. And what is it that attracted you to us? So you said that we obviously had a lot of traction with we sort of in the community and we're sharing our experiences. What is it that exactly sort of brought you to us?
Yeah, I guess there's two really kind of key reasons for wanting to sponsor this series. Firstly, we're keen to support Yorkshire-based companies like yourselves, and fly the Northern Powerhouse flag a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
And I guess secondly, Sheb, you keep telling us there's lots of brilliant Power BI developers attend these webinars. So, since we're growing fast, we are looking for talented consultants at the moment. So, you'll see some of that in today's session on real-time data. And obviously, if anyone's out there and likes what they see and wants to be a part of what we're doing, or if not, if they're just like the best fish and chips you can get, or playing poker on our poker nights, do visit our website, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're right in terms of the different types of and the talent that we get on this show, and that's a reason why we wanted to push out this season to you guys as well, so you can showcase your skills, and we can work with you, which is what we're doing this season. We're working with each presenter of our guest this season, and nurturing their sort of skills in terms of Power BI, their presentation skills, their timing skills, and these are all sort of viable assets, that are key in this sort of data-driven industry. And so yes, there's definitely there's people around with that sort of talent here, and I'm sure you're going to share the link to your website in our chat. So guys, please check that out and have a look at what Cloud2 are up to. Okay, thanks for that, Taran. I'm going to pass straight over to Greg, who's going to introduce real-time analytics. I think this is one that we've been waiting for a while. Some of the feedback you guys gave us over the last couple of seasons, you've mentioned time after time you want some real-time analytics, and even I've wanted to see it as well, because we hear about it, we sort of see it on our LinkedIn posts and other places, but do you actually see it being developed and see it coming through straight to Power BI? There's not many opportunities you get for that. So today we've got that opportunity right here with Mr. Greg Chesterton. Greg, are you there?
I am. Hello, everyone.
Hi there. Thanks for joining us. If you share your screen with us, I can get you straight on and straight started with your session. Greg is a Power BI developer or BI developer with Cloud2 Limited. He's been there for a few years now, and some of the feedback that he's had from the clients, are testament to his ability and his knowledge around BI. And this is one of the projects that he's worked on recently that he's going to share with us today around real-time data. So Greg, the floor is yours. Off you go.
That's great. Thanks, Sheb. So yeah, I've been working for Cloud2 for a couple of years now, and about a year into my time at Cloud2, a bit of a new project came along where a UK-based ambulance service needed to better understand their performance of their fleet into as near real time as possible. They wanted to understand vehicles that were on scene, where they were, the location of the vehicles, and any that were out of service and where they were as well. So that's the background of the problem that we needed to solve last year. The solution for that, we came up with so near real-time data was available. So every 2 minutes we had data. So we built a Power BI suite of dashboards that were using near real-time data. So using push data sets, we're going to go into the detail of some of the different real-time options you have, but one of them is using the push data set. So we used that with an Azure automation runbook that had some PowerShell script. We then used the Logic app to schedule that push on an ongoing basis. So every 2 minutes that was running and pushing data into Power BI. So the real-time data then, so within Power BI you have for streaming data, real streaming as you call it, there are 3 options, but overall I think to achieve real-time data there's actually 4. So the 3 streaming options are push data sets, as I just mentioned before, PubNub, Azure Stream Analytics, which is what the demo is going to be based on today. So today we'll be going through, we've got some data coming in real time, and we're going to literally take that today and present that in real time. So starting from scratch today, obviously the data's already there, which is great for us. And that's the demo for today. And then there's also one that I want to touch on as well, which is probably underused, I'd say, is a direct query, the 1 second visual or page refresh that's available with the premium node. So a little bit about each of them before I get into the demo today. So for push data sets, you can push data into Power BI on a regular basis. Another benefit is it can be done on premises, not using Azure. It's good for updating data, as in that example from last year, near real time. However, some of the drawbacks of it are that it needs some understanding of PowerShell or equivalent. So as a BI developer myself, I come from a primarily data background. PowerShell isn't my game necessarily. I used some of it for this project last year with the help from one of our developers, but it does need some of that help, definitely. And also you need some additional resource, so a logic app if you're in Azure, or maybe an on-premise task scheduler. Questions at any point, please put them in the chat as well. I'll be happy to answer them at the end. Okay, so direct query. So this one, automatic page refresh, only available when using the Power BI Premium node. So if you've got a direct query data set now running already, you can turn that on so the page is refreshing up to every 1 second immediately. So it's really easy to be switched on. And in fact, I'd recommend trying to use it. The problem with it is the latency in the refresh. It can be a bit slower than some of the streamer stuff that we're going to show today, definitely. And a benefit of it is, though, that you can have the reports, so not just the dashboard layout, so a nice report layout updated in real time, not just the dashboard, meaning you've got greater flexibility with it. Okay, moving on to Azure Stream Analytics. So really this is, for me, I love it. You get lightning fast refreshes on Power BI dashboards. You can quickly bring data in from IoT devices, telemetry devices, or business applications, which is a more normal use case, if you like. Another benefit is within Stream Analytics, as you'll see in a minute, has an easy access SQL-like query language. So as I said, for your BI developer, seeing something that looks like SQL, much better than PowerShell, much easier to use. You can also plug machine learning straight into it as well. I'll show you quick. I'm not going to go into a real demo of that, but I'll show you quickly how you can do that, or start to do that today. And it's reliable and scalable, and all the benefits that you get with Azure as well. Okay then, so just moving on to the architecture for today. So we have a source. So what we've got, I can't show you the real customer demo that I did last year, and obviously it's a slightly different architecture. So for the source data, we've got an application running in the background that's just pushing data into Azure Event Hubs. Azure Event Hubs is basically an ingestion engine within Azure that can take data in from multiple sources and then push them out and store them, and then things such as Stream Analytics and pick them up from Event Hubs or Cosmos DB, whatever, any of the Azure data services can really pick it up from there. I'm not an expert on Azure Event Hubs by any means, but as an overview, that's what it does. And then what we're going to be doing, we're going to be using Azure Stream Analytics to then do some transformation of that data, very basic transformation today, and push that data into Power BI in real time. And of course, we're going to visualize, as we know, using Power BI, which we all know and love. All right then. So I'm going to now move on to sharing into the demo. So I'm just going to stop sharing my presentation and move on to sharing my screen. Yeah. Wait for me 2 seconds. There we go. You should be able to see that now. Is everybody good? I'm going to presume you are. So yeah, that's great.
Your presentation screen again.
Super. You should be seeing Google Chrome now. Fantastic. Okay, so a bit of an overview of what we're going to be doing. Basically, we've got some dummy data, as I said before, where we've got some cars going around Bradford, so we're getting the speed of the car, the fuel of the car, and the latitude and longitude, so location as some data that we can then visualize in a Power BI report and ultimately dashboard as well. So we've already got the Event Hub set up. We're now going to do the Stream Analytics part to Power BI. So what we're going to start with, we're going to start in the Azure portal, really easy. And I'm going to just go ahead and create a Stream Analytics job. I'm going to take a look at my existing ones. I've already got somewhere I've been testing this week. And I'm going to add a new job there. So I'm going to give the job a name, really simple, GPS test. I'm going to call it GPS test 4. Assign it to a resource group. And streaming units, I'm just going to put it down to 1. You don't need that. That's obviously scalable based upon how much data you have flowing through. When you get to about 80% utilization, they say that's when you should start to up your streaming units. You don't want to be above that. There's documentation, as you can see there, more about that if you need to find out more. So we're going to go ahead and create that now, that stream analytics job. That won't take long at all, the deployment of that. So I'm just going to have a quick drink. Fantastic. So I'm going to go to that resource within Azure, and this is where the fun begins. So immediately, some of you will be seeing your SQL language there, which is obviously a plus. So where you do most of your work within here is within your job topology. So you have inputs, functions, query, and outputs. So we're going to start with the input, our input data. So get really simple. Click on your inputs, add stream input. And as I said before, our data is coming from Event Hub. There are some other inputs you can have, IoT Hub and blob storage, as well as some reference inputs such as a SQL database, which you can have updated up to every 1 minute. So I'm going to choose Event Hub. I'm going to give it a name, so GPS test 4 again, just for continuity. I'm going to use, so I've already got a Event Hub there, usually existed one, GPS test, select that one, and then we should be good to go. So given it a name, selected the Event Hub that we're using, and that's all I'm going to use. I'm not going to go much further than that and get into the detail of any of those settings there. So that's going to add the input very quickly. It won't take long to set up at all. It will pop in any second now. If it doesn't, I'm going to move on to the output. There we go, it's there. Super. So we've got our input, so that's great. We've got some data coming in, but we now want to obviously push that into Power BI. So to do that is really simple again. So we just go to our outputs, add an output, and as you can see, it's really good. You can see lots of different outputs. You can stream data straight into a SQL database if you need to, Azure Synapse Analytics, whatever it is you want to do there. So obviously we're choosing Power BI today. So first thing we need to do is authorize. So I'm just going to log in. Factor authentication, so bear with me. Yeah. And then once I've logged in, you're pretty much ready to go. So let's just, stay signed in. That's great. So I'm going to give another name for it, an alias for it. So GPS test 4. I'm going to call this one output though at the end of it. Choose a workspace. So I've already set up a demo workspace for today. So select any of your Power BI workspaces there. Dataset name, I'm going to call it Stream and Analytics GPS test 4. Oh, 4. There we go. Table name, real-time data. And then we're going to go ahead and save that there. So this is just going to add the output there, and there we go. We've got it immediately. So what we can do, this is where you can, I'm not going to go into the detail of this, but you can start to bring in functions, including that from, so say you've got an Azure Machine Learning Studio, you can bring in some of that data. You can run data through Machine Learning Studio, through your model, and then output it again in real time into Power BI. It's really, really powerful. But we're not going to go into detail of that, but it's just there so you know where it is within your functions. So now we've got our inputs and outputs, we need to essentially write the query to actually do that. Writing that query isn't exactly difficult. So as you can see, it's selecting star into from your input. So our input's obviously GPS test 4. See them on the left hand side here as well if you need to, what the names of them are if you've forgotten. GPS test output that it's coming from, and I do have some transformation that I prepared earlier that I'm just going to bring into here rather than write this. Something to note, this isn't SQL, it's a SQL-like language, so you can't do all the things you can do in SQL, but it is very similar in terms of syntax and that sort of thing, but it's not the same. And then let me just bring my where criteria across as well. There we go. So I'm just going to test that query, and then we'll see some test results come through. That's great. So you can see we've got some test results there, which is a good start. And then I'm just going to save that. Okay then. So now we've got, this is our Stream Analytics job. It's set up. It's ready to go. So all we need to do is go to the overview and just click start on that. So that's now going to be pushing data into that data set. It takes a about 30 seconds sometimes to start running into that Power BI data set now. So while it does that, I'm going to bring up our report templates ready to bring some data in and start building a report out in Power BI from that data. And then once we've done that, I'm going to publish the report up to the Power BI service, and you'll see the dashboard updated in real time. I might create some real-time tiles as well if we get time. So I'm just going to bring in the Power BI templates there. So these are, just so you're aware of what you're looking at here, these are the how-to Power BI templates. As a developer, I love them. You'll see in a minute, it just makes my development time so much easier and so much faster to develop reports up. I can think about design and move them, but I don't have to. It's all done, and some really good best practice within there. So I'm just going to flick back and see if that started, that job. Not just yet, so I do need that to start. What I will show you in the meantime as another quick example is I'm going to be going to a completely different subject, but I'm going to do it very quickly. So direct query, page refresh. There's some documentation here as to how you do it, but it's really simple. So at the bottom of your page settings, you can see actually for a direct query, page refresh every 1 second, you can change it to be up to every 1 minute. Really, really easy to do if you've got that set up. Okay, I think that started. Let me just check. Oh, wrong one. Let's get still starting that one. There we go. Good timing. Right, so I'm going to go back into our templates now, and I'm going to get the data. So get data, Power BI data set, and we're going to search for the data. GPS test 4. I just created it. I'm going to create that there. Super. So we've got that now coming in. So what I'm going to do is for a report, I'm going to look at a map and a few visuals, a few dummy visuals around that too. So first things first, let's bring in the registration plate so we can see the different vehicles. I'm going to bring in a latitude and a longitude. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Change them to don't summarize. There we go. So at the moment you can see that set for, you can see the journey that has gone on so far, these cars. So I'm just going to put a filter on this visual so we can only see the most recent step. Basically, I don't want to see all of them. I just want to see where it is right now, all the most recent data, which is pretty much right now. So there you go. You can see where those vehicles are right now. Then I'm going to go in and build, I don't know, let's see, is a vehicle available? Let's put some values in there. Let's put some dummy data in there just to play around. Legend there. And again, I'm just going to put the same criteria on that again. So it's only bringing back the latest record. I don't want to bring back everything. Like so. And then what I'll do populate a couple of cards real quick. Let's go for latest time. So that'll give you the latest updates. You can see, oh, there's some odd time in there. And then let's go for, I don't know, just count of IDs. You can see how many records are in there. Let's not do a sum, let's do a count. So as we're going through the demo, you'll see them going up as the records are being input into this Power BI data set. I'm going to put some filters on it quickly as well. So I'll put the time filter on there. So the date filter is a bit pointless, but we'll put it in there anyways. Fuel level, car ID, and then the registration plate as well. And then what we'll do in this visual, let's do a little line graph so we can see speed by registration plate. There we go. Let's do that over time, as obviously we're let's do it this way around. There we go. It's a bit more realistic. Some odd looking data there. As you can see, it is some dummy data, so we're going straight from 50 down to 30, but it is what it is. So let's bring some data into this table as the last one. Then we'll get on to publishing and seeing it refreshing in real time. Let's put latest time in there, ID, put some random data in there. There we go. We've got a matrix of data. Doesn't mean anything, but it's good. And let's finally just give the report a title. Call it vehicle tracking. There we go. That's great. So now our report set up. You can see how quickly that was to do with the templates as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and publish that. I need to save the report first, obviously. And then publishing it to my demo workspace again. While that does it, I'm just going to have a little drink. Again, any questions, please put them in the chat. That's great. So I'm now going to switch back to Power BI now. So I'm going to go to access my report. Where's it gone? There we go. I should have given it a better name. There we are. So here's my report. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to pin this to a dashboard so we can see it updated in real time. Dashboard name, going to give it the same name as my report. Vehicle check-in. Yep, pin that to the dashboard. Pin that one to the dashboard as well. Yep, and let's pin this one. And then this one just to build out a little bit of a dashboard there. So let's go to my dashboard now. So immediately now you can start to see, let's arrange it, you can start to see the data updating, which is fantastic. So you can see these points, these cars just moving out, so you can see where they are in real time and where they're moving to as well. What might have been useful is to put some labels on that map. So this is actually Bradford, it's the north, and then you can see the ID there is going up as we go, and this donut chart will also be changing. Last thing I'll do is create a couple of different types of tiles. So obviously I've gone into the report to create some real-time data there. You don't need to do that if you want a slightly more slicker approach to the real-time tiles update. As you can see, there's a bit of a flip on that. I'm going to show you how to do that very quickly as well. So really simple. Once you're in your dashboard, add tile, custom streaming data. Next, I'm going to select that data set, the one I've set up today. And I'm going to say, hey, let's do it hard to begin with. Add the value. Going to be some meaningless data here, guys. I do warn you, but let's go for ID. Let's see what that gives us. So that's just giving us go through some random IDs there, but you can see how much faster that is updated and how fast the data is updated. It's quite nice. Again, doesn't really mean anything, but it's good to see actually the difference between the two tiles. So you've got that little lightning strike there as well. And then finally, I'm going to make this one a little bit smaller. Move this one over here. And put one more visual here before we end the demo. And this one's going to be a nice line chart, I think, this time. So I'm going to select the visualization type to be a line chart. Axis, let's go for latest time, and let's add a value to that as well. Should we go for speed? Oh, that's odd. Got a nice little error message there. I'm going to refresh the page in a minute. That will normally fix it. And then go for legend by registration plate. So let's go for that and supply that, see if we get any luck. If that doesn't work, that is odd, but it looks like there's a small error going on. But let's see. There we go. As I've refreshed the page, you can then see, oops, the data updated in real time. Your graph moving along in real time, showing data for the last minute. There we go. And here's your real-time dashboard. So now you can go through and see where the vehicles are in real time, where they're moving to, and what they're doing. Okay, I'm just going to move back into the presentation shortly and then wrap up. There we go. So the future of real-time, quite frankly, we don't know what that is. There's been some features removed from the release plan, so the support for streams of data as an input source, or maybe bypassing the stream analytics step that might have been in the pipeline, not sure. But looking through the documentation that Microsoft has provided, there's nothing planned for real-time, but I think the capabilities that we've got now are really exciting and really useful. And that's it from me. So thank you all for listening, and I hope that was useful.
Thanks, Greg. That was really useful. Actually, it was really interesting to see that, and we have got some questions for you from some of the guys as well. So, in terms of the setup in Azure and the whole streaming analytics in Azure, how long did that sort of take to set up?
Yeah, so the stream analytics, as you've seen that bit, that bit took all of what, less than 20 minutes to get it set up. Obviously, I know I've made this as a demo, but it doesn't take long to do at all. It's really, really fast and really easy to do. And
is that something that you've learned on the job, you know, doing the project, as going through the project?
Yeah, exactly that. So we had the requirement, and I obviously knew some stuff about Power BI real time, but you never really know until you're hands-on with a project. And I was really getting hands-on, and I had the opportunity to get hands-on and do this sort of thing. It's fantastic.
You generally get to do it internally, but then actually creating it for an actual client is a totally different kettle of fish, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Just about the architecture that you had. So you use the Event Hubs option there, and I know you said you didn't know too much around it, but can you just go over that architecture again? What was in place for this particular demo?
Yeah, sure. So we had an application. Let's say it's a pretend IoT device, really. So telemetry data from a vehicle, tracking the data, saying where it is in terms of latitude and longitude. That's the application. And then that was Azure Event Hubs was taking that data from the telemetry device, storing it ready for other Azure data services such as Stream Analytics to pick it up. And then, as you saw, Stream Analytics then passing that data into Power BI.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's good. And this sounds like some of the stuff that like Google Maps uses for its data around sort of traffic jams and things. Is that the sort of thing that really big companies are using for this sort of stuff?
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah, they'll be using that sort of telemetry data that's coming from people using Google Maps, and that's how they know where people are on the traffic in the certain roads. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
And Uber Eats as well. They'll be knowing where your driver is. So,
how far your food is. Yeah, that's important, isn't it? We are on lunchtime, aren't we? So. So what other scenarios or what other sort of scenarios could you have this sort of real-time data used in real life, I guess, in terms of business?
Yeah, great. So a couple off the top of my head. The most common one will probably be fleet tracking, right? So if you've got a fleet of delivery vehicles or maybe some lorries and things like that, knowing where they are. And then also you can get really clever with it and know where people are within slightly smaller environments. So such as in health, in a ward, you know, who's where and what's going on within that ward, and really use those devices, the IoT devices in real time. Or even in the water industry, and then say, hey, if you've got some pipes and there's a problem and fault in the pipe, and they've got telemetry devices there, lots of different use cases for it now available.
Yeah, brilliant. So there's been some requests for documentation. So if there's anything that you can share with the guys in the chats, that would be great. And pulling data from SQL from real-time reporting, can you just quickly revisit that, or just quickly go over that for us?
Yeah, let me just share my screen then very quickly then to do that very quickly. What screen?
I guess you can just sort of talk about.
Okay, great. So yeah, from SQL, I'd say you can within Stream Analytics there was a reference input, and you can have that every 1 minute within Stream Analytics. So that's one way of doing it. The other option is to use direct query, obviously, and then have that if you've got a premium node within Power BI, have that updated every 1 second. Or maybe that's when you'd explore the push data set, where you can define how often you want to push it into Power BI.
Brilliant. And we've had some some questions and comments around the template that you're using as well. And of course, they can be created in Power BI. But tell me some of the benefits that you get from having a template like that.
Yeah, so really, as I'll talk, there's twofold. So as a developer, as a BI developer, it's fantastic for me. As you saw there, it took me all of a minute maybe to create that report, and it's looking really good in my opinion. And also, it gives you, from an end user perspective, it gives you an overall. The design is always the same. It's not, obviously you might have 5 Power BI developers on one team. Each of them has slightly different approaches to developing, which is normal. We do within Cloud too, but actually still having it as a template, it gives you that everything has the same look and feel for your end users.
Excellent. Okay, brilliant. Thanks for that, Greg. There are questions coming through, guys. If you've got questions, please keep sending them through. Greg is with us to the end of the session, so he'll take on your questions and send you those replies back to you. But these are the sort of thing that happens at Cloud 2, working with the latest and greatest technologies and really sort of pushing these boundaries and using the tech to bring a lot of these companies up to speed. Okay, now straight on to part 2. Ben, our resident presenter, was due to be here presenting our latest desktop updates, but unfortunately he's been called away on some work. So what he has done, the good man that he is, he's recorded his session and sent that in to us for us to play. Personally, I think he just wanted to play around with his new shiny green screen that he's just purchased. So I'm going to share my screen now and have that video play for you. Okay. If you've got any issues with the sound, please let me know. Okay, that should be live on your screen now, and I'll play that for you.
Hey, welcome back. My name's Ben Howard, and welcome back to Lunch and Learn. I'm pre-recording this, of course, because I'm on site today, doing some work around Power BI and getting data actually into Power BI and in some cases in Excel as well. So it's my job today just to take you through kind of what's happened over the last couple of months. Well, certainly a lot has happened in terms of the Power BI desktop and its updates. I just want to talk about a few things that have caught my eye. The first, and things that are easy to demo as well within literally 20 minutes. The first is the rectangular lasso, or lasso as I would call it, for data points. That's in preview. The next is a nice toggle switch, which is a new visualization. Talking of visualizations, I'm interested always in project and project online because that's my background. And so AdWise brought out a roadmap that allows us to look at effectively the timeline of projects, and I'll show you that. I've not actually been able to get that working too well as we speak at the moment. And then finally we'll have a look at text stroke CSV by example, which I think a few of us might find a little bit useful, especially but useful for those learning Power BI and those people who aren't too familiar yet with Power Query. And then finally, something that I came across a while ago, which is the ability to add comments in M-code and have those ping out to you. And we'll have a look at Azure Maps as well. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so here we are back in Power BI, of course. Before we have a look at these preview features, let's just see where they're switched on. And of course, they're in the options and settings in preview features. So there's your data point rectangle select. That's that one there, that's for lasso. Here's the Azure map visual. And here's the import text using examples. So make sure they're switched on, of course. You may then have to restart Power BI if they aren't. Let's just have a look at this lasso option first of all. We know that within a chart, and at the moment this just works for charts, we can select a data point. So if I select this one, which says 318, then the other visualizations change change because of the cross filtering. Now what I can do is I can go on control and then select a couple of data points. So if I control click, there we've got 1, 2, 3 data points selected, and the original one we had selected as well. I can control click and undo the original one. So now I'm just able to select these 3 data points. And of course the cross filtering works as you'd expect. So that's the lasso option. Let's now go and have a look at the Azure Maps. So if I click on visualizations here, you can see that I've got a visualization map displayed already. This is always the historic Bing map. In this case, we're looking at the latitude and longitude of the bike theft. The size of the bubble is the count of the crime, and then it falls within, gives us the police force which reported the theft, or the theft was reported or fell within that area. Okay, let's just go and have a look then and change this map to be not a Bing map anymore, but this icon here, which is an Azure map. So let's just do that. So we click on there, we get a very brief disclaimer, and then if we maximize this or set the focus mode, then you can see it gives me a different map. Now this style at the moment isn't particularly nice. Partly of course it's to do with the data at the moment, so let's just go and change the map style, and maybe we'll go and choose satellite. So that will give us a satellite map, and of course we can zoom in to the data as you'd expect. So as a reminder, black is Merseyside Police, red here is Greater Manchester, and the kind of blue is the Cheshire Constabulary. So what's the point of this map? Well, ultimately it can I think it's limited to about 30,000 data items, but we've got a few more options. We've already seen we can choose a sort of map style in there. We can zoom in and out, of course, which we could with Bing Maps. We can also change the pitch on this. So we can, if we want to decide we're flying along 30,000 feet and have a look at how that might look like as we zoom in and out, we can do that, of course. And then we can also change the rotation, so we can rotate that one way, or of course then rotate it right the other way. Both of these buttons here just then allow us to reset that back to default. In terms of the field well for this, we've got latitude and longitude, so that's okay. We don't yet have any geographical location. That's coming along. Remember, this is in preview at the moment, so geographical location isn't yet there. In terms of the formatting, we do have many more options than we had previously with the Bing Maps. So things like map settings allow us to auto zoom, turn on the world map. If we don't auto zoom, we get another set of controls that we can set within the formatting options. We can choose whether to display bubbles or cylinders, if you like. We could have a minimum size of a bubble and the maximum size, so we might just set this down to 2 and that to, we'll leave that at 5 then. Let's set that down a little bit here. Okay, so we can begin to change some of these bigger size bubbles as we require. We've got a scaling method, whether that's linear, log, or cubic Bezier. We can do that again for different types of data that might be useful. We have a fill transparency currently set at 0, so for fill of the bubbles, if we just increase that, let's just say to 76, and we'll zoom in, then lo and behold, we should be able to see. And if we set the minimum size here a little bit, then you can begin to see through the bubble. We'll probably want to set the maximum size a bit as well, so we can see our hotspots. Okay, so we can begin to see the bubble. And that's quite useful. Also, we've got some outline colors of the bubbles, as you'd expect. And we've got an outline transparency, so again we can begin to see those and overlay the bubbles. Outline width. Now this is quite an interesting one. The blur kind of merges bubbles together, so let's just set this to 66 and see what that shows us. So you can see it begins to blur the bubbles, and this can be quite useful where I want to kind of see the hot spots in an area. Okay, so again, really useful to be able to do. A few other options around zooming, etc. Bar charts we talked about instead of displaying bubbles. We can have different layers on here, so we can stack different bits of data. We can underlay layers as well, so you might have some other JSON data that you're getting in that you might use as a reference layer. Really interestingly, just for demo purposes, we can turn on the traffic. Bang, here we are. When we turn the traffic on, let's just not show the incidents. We still see the traffic there. No, that's not doing that for us. Let's just show that then. I didn't really want to show the incidents, but you can see the traffic coming in around the northwest, where we are now on a Tuesday afternoon, I guess it is, and various other options. So we've got some great options within that visualization, as well as the usual border, shadow, etc. So let me just go back to the report, and you know, I could quite easily update very simply. Actually, it's a quick click and replace. If you're using current Bing Maps, you can just click on the visualization and choose the Azure map, and away you go. It'll do its best to work that out for you. Okay, so that's the maps done. Okay, so I wanted to talk about displaying timelines of data, projects, of course, and I did some work a while back for a customer where we looked at different timelines, this being the standard Microsoft project one. So we have a big project here, it's run by Ben Howard, and it goes from these dates, and then these were the other 4 types of timelines I found. Well, today you can go and use another timeline, which is this one, which is a timeline from AdWise, and it looks a bit like this, so it's pretty neat. As I said, I had a few issues getting it to look that neat, but if you want to add in a timeline, of course, then you can, or this visual, you can get more visuals, but I wanted to show you this option here. You can go to the web and you can go to appsource.microsoft.com and you can select Power BI visuals, and you can then scroll through all of the visuals. Okay, now I think the roadmap is on 4 or page 4 if you like. So let's just go and see if we can see that anywhere. Here it is, AdWise roadmap. There is no search facility. What I often do is just press Control F to search on each page and just search for what I want, and you can see it picks up roadmap here, and you can navigate to it using these buttons. So here's the AdWise roadmap. We can click on it. We can then go and I'll ignore that for now. We can then go and get it now, and click on that. We'll continue, and then it basically takes me back out to Power BI. So what's quite nice about, or rather it takes me to this page, what's quite nice about this is that it gives you, and will always give you, so long as the company produce it, and I think they have to, a sample report. So sometimes you pick up these visuals and you think, well, how the hell am I supposed to use that? And it's difficult. So here's the download for Power BI. So we could go and download that. It downloads it as a PBViz file, as you can see here right at the end, and you can then add that file into your Power BI report. Instead of from Get More Visuals, you can go and import that from a file, and away you go. And there's my AdWise PBIViz file. So we could go and import that, and of course then utilize it in this screen. So that's pretty useful as well. Whilst we're talking about visuals, let's use this file, which is my planner visual file. Okay, so here we've got just a standard planner Power BI file. So this takes tasks out of Microsoft Planner and presents them to me. But the toggle button that I use here is this one, and this toggle button actually is switched on to a ton of bookmarks. So if we click on View and then Selection, you can see when I click on a toggle, the button left is hidden, and then when I click again, the button right is hidden. If I uncheck the hide from the right button, you can begin to see that actually I've got two buttons here. One's just overlaid over the other, and that's kind of how you do a toggle. So if we go back to the bike theft data, there's an issue actually with this data, and you can see it here if I click on the by force tab. Looking at this data set here, then we can see that we've got data in 2014 through to 2020, but Greater Manchester Police, represented by the black legend colour here, haven't reported any data for 2020, and in fact they're well short on the data they reported in 2019. I noticed that they'd stopped reporting data in the middle of 2019. I don't know why, and so it may be useful to have some bike theft data and be able to get rid of the Manchester Police Force for reporting purposes. So again, we can go and get more visuals, and the visual we want, which we've actually installed, it's a toggle, is this one, TOGGLE. It is toggle switch by time AG, and that comes in like that. So let's just go and place this toggle onto the page. We'll just put it up here. Again, this is fairly easy to work out how we were going to use this toggle. So once we got it on there, we can choose a toggle to a data field to toggle on. Now, if I look at my police data fields, then what I'm really interested in is this falls within area. I've actually got Cheshire Constabulary, Greater Manchester Police, Lancashire Constabulary, which actually I get rid of because there's no Warrington postcodes in Lancashire, and Merseyside Police. So the Lancashire stuff is some stuff which really, if this was a commercial system, I would get rid of, but we've left it in there for now. So those are the values that I want: Cheshire, Greater Manchester and Merseyside Police. So we can toggle across multiple fields. So the police data I'm going to put in here, the data field will be falls within. Okay, but then we've got some options with the switch. Okay, the field values for on. So if we want on, then let's just say we're going to include Manchester Police. So I've got a text file here which already has the textual fields in there, and you can have multiple fields by delimiting them by a comma. So Cheshire the first one will include all 3 constabularies. So we'll just copy that into there, and you can see that that's got those values in. And field values for off, we'll just take those 2 and put those in there. Everything else is a bit of a configuration size, or a bit of configuration rather about size and background color, title, all of those little lot. Okay, so what we should be able to do now is click switch on, and you'll see that we now have Greater Manchester Police because that included everything, and switch off and we don't have Greater Manchester Police. So it's a nice way of just filtering some binary things. I don't think it's not going to be any good for bookmarks, which is what the other demo was, but if you've just got a quick toggle of yes or no, or A or B, or include or exclude, then this is really a nice binary way of doing that. Okay, what else was I going to show you? I was going to show you some comments in M code actually. So if we just transform this data. Okay, so this is again the same file. It's my police file, and you can see that I've got some applied steps here as you would expect. Now if I go into the advanced editor, then we can see those applied steps. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just place a comment in here, and I'm just going to call this renamed sort to sort dot to sort. Okay, that will do me as the comment. Of course, we should get this correct. And comments obviously are really useful in code, but they don't, or previously, for me at least, hadn't appeared. I had never noticed this little icon here. And if you mouse over that little informational icon, it gives you the comment. I've not really investigated this any further than that, but it seems to me to be a really, really neat feature. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to cover off was the text stroke CSV by example. Let's do that. So let's go and get data from a text stroke CSV. I've got a text file of Trump's tweets for 2019 because they're always, to me at least, hilarious to look at. So it's a CSV file. Power BI does a great job anyway of working out that this is comma delimited, but if I wanted to do something slightly different, I could use this feature here called extract tables using examples. And what we might want to do is split the date and the time up. So let's just click on this button, extract tables using examples. In column 1, we might just start typing. So if we want the source, I could say that's Twitter for iPhone. So we'll select that, and then I'll just tab, and that takes a couple of seconds just to fill that field in. And we could rename this. So column 1 straight away, I could just call source. Okay. Column 2, maybe we want the date, and we can see the date here is 12/20/2019. So let's just type, sorry, 12/30/2019. Let's just type that in, 12/30/2019, and I just press tab on there and tab again. That's okay, and you can see that it's started to fill the other dates in. Now the time for the first one is 22/23/04, so 22/23/04, and now tab on there, and you can see that that's then picked up again the others. So the next one after that, 14/28/26, which is there, and that might be all I want. So I'll rename this to be date, and this to be time. Column 3 I don't want, so we'll just cut that out or delete that. Okay, so that's really neat. One thing I should just point out here, I love Trump's tweets. This one, here's fake news, will always be Fredo to us. Now I can only think that's a reference to The Godfather, but there we go, that's his tweet. So we can just click load on here, and of course once that does load, this will take a few seconds. Let's go and have a look at the data. We'll just fast forward this for you. Here's Trump's tweets 2019. I've not only got the date, but I've then also got the individual times for each individual tweet. So fairly useful as a neat and nice tool. Okay, so that's it from me for this edition of Power BI. There's lots that we could have talked about, but I chose to talk about lassoing particular items and a line chart, the toggle switch, because I think that's going to be useful. The AdWise roadmap, once I get that working, I know that's going to be brilliant. We looked at text stroke CSV by example. I also looked at comments in M. So I think that's just going to be fantastic. And Azure Maps, there's loads of features and functionalities in there. All right, thank you very much, and a good day to you.
Sheb, you may want to unmute yourself, sorry.
It still happens. See, we're keeping it real on here. This is real live, a real live session. Anything could happen. But what a legend Ben is. You know, he could have simply given me a call, say, Sheb, look, I'm on site. Can you please do this? Which I would have been happy to do. But he went ahead and used his floating head green screen to create a video for us for the session today. So thanks for Ben. Thank you very much to Greg for his real-time analytics session. A lot of questions came through. I think he's posted them out. There's plenty of links there for you guys to go ahead and do some reading on that and do some further investigation on real-time analytics, and maybe you'll be here next season presenting your solution to us. We'll have another great session next episode. We've got well, I'm going to leave it until next week to reveal who it's going to be and what the talk is going to be about. But this session is recorded, and so initially you can use the same link to view it again. But we'll also publish it to the website this afternoon to powerbisupport.co.uk, where you can find the session and previous sessions as well. Thanks again to our special guests, Greg Chesterton, Taran Sohal. Thank you, Lewis, for helping us in the background with the Q&A, etc. Guys, if you'd like to unmute your mics and say bye to everybody.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you.
Cheers all. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much. And looking forward to see you guys in the episode 2 in a couple of weeks' time. Take care.